I'm Kevin Casey. I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And right now what I'm about to do is issue a warning out to all other competitors.
I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
He is terrible!
Smacking dudes with his 18-inch meat stick.
I'm going to go quick because I don't give a fuck about anything that's going to happen on Saturday.
It's February. It's almost Valentine's Day. When you're listening to this, you probably will be with your loved one. You may even be wishing that you were listening to MMA analysis instead, depending who you are and what kind of bets have you been making. It could certainly be that you're having a rough Valentine's Day because your bets haven't been hitting. If you've been paying for bets recently, there's a possibility that it could be a rough Valentine's Day for you.
Big possibility.
Big possibility. Big, maximum
possibility.
Maximum possibility. My understanding is the Sosman's getting prepared to head down to Texas.
His fucking trek.
Yeah, his trek. Is he driving there again?
You know he's driving.
Oh my God! Why does he hate? Why does he hate airplanes so much?
Well, the first time that he flew was when we went to Vegas. You know that, right? That was the first time in his life he flew.
I don't even know what to even say to that.
They don't like airplanes in that
there's
part of the South.
There's a very famous soccer player, Dennis Bergkamp, Netherlands international, played for Arsenal many years during some of their glory teams with Thierry Henry and at Arsenal when they won multiple EPL titles, and he never flew. That was like he was petrified of flying. And I think he even came to the United States. He took a boat. It was
Are you serious?
I'm not joking. Yeah, you can look that one up, folks. Fact check me, but yes, he had a big thing about not willing to fly. It was very bizarre. I'm like, how could you be a world star in the sport of a sport like that and be just unwilling to fly? I don't get it, but maybe Wes is he's been spending a lot of time with soccer and learning the sport. Maybe he's been getting his inner Dennis Bergkamp, and I don't know.
I just don't think he trusts those flying metal tubes. It's as simple as that.
I mean, they're not. I mean, they're safer than Zeppelins.
Oh.
I mean, Christ Almighty.
He doesn't understand it, so he's terrified of it.
This is the man who was willing to drive to Las Vegas. Okay. From Kentucky.
Well, you remember the story about him. Wasn't he supposed to meet up for a fight card with you guys, and then his vehicle broke down halfway there and had to bail on it and stuff like that?
There was some sort of story like that, yeah.
The Kentucky Sodsman is a character.
He certainly drove up from Kentucky to go when we went to the Foxwoods card, or in Connecticut. I mean, that's a hefty.
How long a drive is that?
That's at least you could drive that. I mean, it's got to be long. I mean, I don't know. It could be 1,700 miles. I should look it up, but I don't want to think about it. It would make my head hurt.
Jesus. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I don't mind driving. I've done treks 400 miles before each way, different places, especially going to Canada. I don't want to fly from New York to go to Toronto or Montreal. It's especially Montreal. For me, it's 5.5, 6 hours. Yeah. It's just the international cost and the time to go to the airport, wait, get there, the whole thing. I mean, how much extra time are we really talking about here? An hour or two? I mean, ultimately. So it's all right, I'll do the drive. But yeah, 1,000 miles each way? No. 2,000 miles each way? Never. But
yeah, that's insane.
That's the Sodsman for you.
That is the Sodsman.
It must be the Southern way of thinking. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm having a Brad Keselowski in honor of Wes. At me for saying that, but
what is that? What's a Brad Keselowski?
Oh, it's a Miller Lite.
Oh, okay, there you go. That's who he's sponsored by. That's
Miller Lite
plastered
car
all over his damn car. That makes sense.
And the first race of the year at Daytona, exhibition race. He took the win. And I know the Sosman didn't particularly like that. But anyway, I'm going to continue drinking my Brad K special. New Shaun, what's been going on with you?
Not too much. Losing bets. That's what happened this past weekend. That's for sure. I mean, other than the glorious consensus bet, but we'll talk about that later. Just a bunch of mookie picks that I need to stop making. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, you jumped right into last week's card. You know, we probably should, you know, get down dirty and go talk about it. I think we should start with the main event. So, first 2 rounds, fairly pedestrian. And then the 1-2 punch combo Yoel Romero lands. Is that the most violent 1-2 punch combination since Dan Henderson destroyed Michael Bisping years ago?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
You got to go Hendo number 1, but that's a close second. That made me cringe.
That follow-up punch was great, right?
That follow-up punch was just nasty. Like, just propped up, and he just threw an uppercut, and it landed so clean. Like, you know, sometimes there's those follow-up punches, they look violent, but they, you know, kind of graze. That one was so clean and so powerful. That was just mean. Just instant limp.
Yeah, YOLO's good at that. He's good at the follow-up shots. I remember the Machida fight, and
finisher,
it was like,
man.
Knocks you down, elbow, basketball. I was like, okay. Oh, man.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, he's such a burst fighter, but he's just, his finishing capability is a very, very elite level. He, when he sees a wound in an animal, he takes it out. Impressive from him. I was on Rockhold. I thought Rockhold would be able to push the pace a little bit more, not let YOLO just kind of rest when he wasn't blitzing. Rockhold did all right in the first, but even in that second, YOLO fucking blitzed him a couple times, and it seemed like it rocked him. And then obviously in the third, he put him away fairly early. Yeah, Rockhold's going to be one of those guys. I mean, at this point, his skills are up there. His defensive skills are definitely not up there. His top game and his striking are really good, but his defense and his chin are something that is very lacking, and that is definitely going to be his downfall.
I mean, I was thinking about this after the fight. I think he would be like an all-timer if his chin could hold up. I really think so.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, if you think of it like as create a fighter, like on a video game or something. I mean, he has everything. He has striking, size, length, wrestling. His top game is elite. It's just that defense and that chin.
He was champion, though. He
was champion, and then he got cocky, and we all lost a shit ton of money. And it's kind of been downhill ever since. I mean, he didn't look good against Dave Branch. When you're getting clipped by David Branch, it's not a good day. Obviously, he was able to take over that fight as he should, but seems like he hasn't been the same since that fight. So I don't know. There's talk of him going up to 205. I mean, they just seem to punch harder the heavier they get. So I don't know if that's a good choice or not. I mean, 205 is weak generally, but that's not going to do anything for his chin.
No, it's not. And what did you think about the whole thing right after the fight with YOLO going up to him and that whole thing? There was some people like get into me on Twitter about this like the day after, or I think it was Sunday, and then they were trying to tell me they basically used that as like some sort of commentary that Rockhold's unlikable and he's cocky and arrogant.
Dude was out of this world. Like, he had no idea where the fuck he was. And I don't know about you, but I mean, that's a huge fight. He could have won the interim belt, and he just got annihilated in front of a shit ton of people. I wouldn't be too happy myself. I know.
No, neither would I.
I know everybody's supposed to be cordial and, congratulations, you just knocked me the fuck out. But I myself wouldn't be too happy in that situation. So,
especially like a minute. Like a minute after that happens, like someone like this dude who just knocked me out is in my face. Like there's no, I don't know how I don't know. Maybe people I don't know. I just don't understand like why you would think like, oh, that sounds like great. He should be there congratulating me, blah, blah, blah. Like give a little bit of space.
Yeah. Yeah, like I was kind of cringy towards Romero. Like I know there's the language gap there, but he was like kissing him and trying to like thank him, and Rockhold was just not having it. Like YOLO probably should have took a hint and probably like left him. I mean, it is what it is.
Right. Imagine a scenario.
He's not going to remember anything Romero says in that situation. Like your brain's gone scrambled.
Like I compare it to, which I think, a lot of people can at least have like some level of understanding. Say you've been at your job for a while, you're pretty good at it, and then you get fired, right? Kind of out of nowhere, and then someone comes up to you like 30 seconds after, like you like walk out of like your boss's door or wherever they fire you, and someone comes up to you and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry about getting fired. Well, let me know if I can do anything." Like, you don't want to hear that at that point. At that point, you're just packing up your shit and you're getting the hell out of it.
Especially someone you probably don't like either. Like, get the fuck away from me.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Like, maybe we can go grab a drink, like, the next day or something. You know what I mean? Like, you can go talk about it. Like, you don't want to hear. Exactly. And people are so I didn't get that either.
I don't know. People are way too critical of things that fighters say or do right after a fight, especially guys that just got smashed. Like, give them some space. Let them say something dumb or do something that you don't approve of. Like, this dude just had his brain absolutely scrambled in one of the biggest moments of his life. Like, give him a break.
And then, I mean, there's just YOLO, right? I mean, like
YOLO the God.
Does anything he do like really surprise anybody at this point?
No, but it's an absolute fucking joy to watch.
Oh yeah. I think this show I'm gonna say we were early on the train.
I jumped off way too early, like usual.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but we are fans. Definitely a fan. We are as a show. We like YOLO, and things he does are things that most other humans are not capable of. Most other athletes aren't capable of. And at 40 years old, I believe, is he the young? Well, he's not a champion, so we can't use that line. But hypothetically, he would have been the oldest, I think, debutant champion, right, in the history of the UFC. I have to imagine so, right?
What do you mean, debuting champion?
He'd be the youngest or the oldest fighter to become a first-time champion.
Oh, that's what you mean. Yeah, because Randy won it, lost it, and then won it later on. I see what you're saying. Oldest first-time champion. Yep. Yeah, I would have to say so.
Yeah.
YOLO kind of reminds me of Anderson when he was kind of doing crazy shit. It's kind of just like must-see TV. What is he going to do next? A lot of times, even in Anderson fights, there was a lot of lulls in his fights, and then something would happen. Kind of reminds me of Romero. Dude's just...
Which is interesting because, when I remember, like, I wasn't watching MMA at that point, but when Anderson kind of first came into the UFC, he was kind of beating dudes early, right? At least that's what I thought. Like when he took out Levin really quickly, took out
were just...
I guess Rich Franklin pretty easily. Kind of ran through them, right?
Yeah, but I was talking more like
later on. Like
when he beat Vitor, like just kind of there was a lull and then he just front kicks a dude and just that's it. What other fights? The Chael fight.
Second Chael.
Yeah.
The second one, the first one.
Yeah. The Bonner fight, I mean, that was just kind of wild
that was
what he was doing there. Just stuff that you don't see any other fighters. He's putting his back against the fence and waving him over. And then the Forrest fight when he was just doing wild shit. Like, they're definitely different, but it's just screams like must-see TV of what he's going to do. I mean, you got YOLO just doing just crazy stuff. I mean, how he was hammer fisting Rockhold's thigh every once in a while. Just unorthodox stuff that, you don't see. It's not just generic fighting. You never know what he's going to do. I just enjoy watching that dude. Sad that he's so old, but looks like we're going to get to see him in a rematch, which I thought was a really fun fight. Maybe he'll learn something from that. Maybe he'll be able to catch Whitaker. I don't know. That's a tough matchup for him. So it'll be fun, though.
He definitely has an aura about him. I'll say that. I was going to jump to something which I thought was related to this, but I feel like it's time where, we should talk about the co-main event.
Oh, that beautiful thing.
And the consensus bet. We're undefeated in 2018, new Shaun. What do you think about that?
It's a beautiful thing. I mean, we're a month and a half in. No losses. I mean, there's some holes in there, but we'll take it. We got an O beside the L column, so anytime that happens, it's a beautiful thing.
I feel like we're onto something here. We're learning from the great Clay Davis.
Yep, the Dudas.
The Dudas. You don't have to bet every fight card. If you don't see something, you don't bet it.
Yep.
If there's no consensus, there's no consensus. I like zeros, and it was a victory. Curtis Blaydes, a little bit of trouble in the first round.
Yeah, a little bit.
First round, but after that, once he kind of saw, and I kind of saw it, Hunt would kind of lunge, and it would be like a slow, heavy bomb, and Blaydes would be like, whoop, and then he'd just dive in, see you later. Yep. On the ground, deal with it. And by the third round, I mean, Blaydes was just like ragdolling him, like Khabib style.
Yeah.
Like Khabib versus Abel Trujillo, I would say. It was kind of like that, where there was a ton of takedowns, as opposed to like the more recent Khabib,
where he just gets you down and mauls you.
Or just one takedown around and mauls you. Yeah, it was kind of like I'm gonna kind of let you get up, not really let you, but like you'll get up, but then I'm just gonna hold on to your
energy and then just take you down again.
It was awesome to see like Blaydes like literally pick up Mark Hunt and throw him down. They weren't even traditional takedowns. He just powered him to the mat. It was awesome. It was a pretty cool performance, and from my vantage point, and I've been saying this for a while, Blaydes is definitely a guy on the rise in this division, and that Francis Ngannou Blaydes fight from a few years ago, I had a feeling we're going to see it again at some point. It ain't going to be the next time they're going to fight, but at some point down the road, it just seems like that seems to be a possibility. They're both going to be in that like top 5, top 6 of the division, and they're going to have to start doing that again because there really isn't anybody else. What'd you think?
Very impressed with this fight. I mean, it's not just a one-sided beatdown. You got to see him take a bunch of shots. His recovery is insane for a heavyweight. I mean, Mark Hunt landed clean on him, and he was dancing, and he was still able to have his wits about him enough to look for a takedown when Hunt overextended. Early on in the fight, his striking was pretty decent. I mean, going against the K1 level kickboxer in Mark Hunt, he was able to showcase his ever-improving striking. Gas tank was good. I mean, impressive fight. I mean, heavyweight shit's going to happen. Guys get clipped. But just for a young fighter to weather the storm and be able to impose his will on somebody. And those takedowns were impressive. You haven't really seen people pick up Mark Hunt and toss him and be able to keep him down like that. Like Lesnar was able to take him down, but it was definitely a lot different kind of takedowns. They weren't pick up and throw down. They were kind of against the fence and kind of pull him away and drop him and stuff like that. But really impressed by Curtis Blaydes. I know people were kind of down on him after that kind of boring win against Omilanchuk, but he's looked pretty good, and I think he's kind of the real deal. I don't know how close he is to a title shot. I don't know if we should be rushing him, maybe take a little bit more time. But he's getting up there.
He certainly is. He certainly is. A lot to go over on this card, but
lots of drama and
lots of cool stuff.
Yeah,
but definitely want to talk about this one, the Last Stylebender. How awesome is this guy in every freaking way? I know some people are going to say, Jay, be careful. Hype train. Things I saw, things I witnessed, confidence, technical ability, athleticism. There's a lot here. I saw shades of Anderson Silva. I saw shades of John Jones.
Yeah, they were mentioning that.
His expressions reminded me a lot of John Jones. Just the way like his reactions to things. But just some of the things he did, his technical ability reminded me a lot of Anderson. And depending on how good this guy's takedown defense is, eventually, or his ability when guys are going to kind of try to force him to grapple, that's going to be the test. But then again, Conor McGregor became a world champion in not one division, but two, with very little grappling ability. So there's a lot here.
Yep. Yeah, that's an impressive debut. Obviously, he's been in some high level kickboxing, so that definitely helps the jitters and stuff like that. He didn't get too rattled when Wilkinson got him down, was kind of grinding on him and stuff like that. And then once they separated, you could just see the mile-long difference in striking between these two. He showed a lot. I mean, I like the athleticism when Wilkinson went for that takedown and he like rolled through it, kind of did like a somersault and got up. Hopefully they kind of match him up the way they should and give him, slowly give him a little better and better wrestlers. If the UFC is smart, they'll do that, because they definitely have somebody with seems like some charisma and some very, very high technical ability. So hopefully they do it the right way. They kind of did that with Conor, and hopefully they do it here, because this dude is exciting to watch. That's for damn sure.
How about Thiago Santos?
I think that's too much at this. Like, I know he's a straight striker, but I wouldn't give him that yet. I mean, Thiago Santos at this point, he's a 8th rank. What is he for middleweights? He's got to be up there.
He's around the top 10.
Yeah, so I'd probably give him. Let's see, who's on that cusp. What about? Yeah. Where actually, Thiago Santos is now an 11th ranked. I mean, we could see him kill Vitor. I'd be cool with that.
Well, the Machida fight makes a lot more sense, but how many killers are going to give Machida in a row? I mean, it doesn't seem right, does it?
I mean, at this point,
just give him a little bit of a softball somewhere, right?
It just depends on if anybody can headline a
do you
UFC
think
fight card in Brazil.
Do you think any of these old dudes can actually beat this guy? Because I don't.
Not those ones. I mean, Machida's probably not.
I mean, I actually have Bisping ranked ahead of this guy at this point, but I don't see how. I think I might be wrong. I think he would run through Bisping.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Bisping just get flatlined by strikers lately. You would assume that.
He's not just a striker. He throws with accuracy.
Yeah, and different kind of stuff, like those elbows he was throwing. But like you said, it's going to come down on what level his takedown defense is right now in his get up game. They'll
probably give him somebody. I mean, I don't think they'll go that high. They'll probably go a little bit lower just to kind of build it up a little more.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. I was thinking maybe like an Alvey or a Mutanch, Someone along those lines, I could see.
Yep. Yeah, like just on the cut, like around like the probably 20th ranked, cusp of top 15.
Julian Marquez would be awesome, but I don't think they want to use Marquez there. Carl Roberson, they probably want to have a little more of a name, I think.
Yeah, somebody with a little bit of a name, but
Alvi Mutanj make too much sense, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Let's see where that goes.
That was a fun and nice to see that they put him on after the pay-per-view. I don't know if you noticed that, but after the pay-per-view, they put his fight on. When's the last time they've done something like that?
I don't know. It's been a while for sure.
I don't know if just the pay-per-views have been going long, so they don't do that, but
could be.
It was good to see they put it on there.
He's one of the more exciting, I would say most exciting debuts I've seen in years. I was that impressed, and just the whole, just the aura the dude seems to have.
Did he seem small for a middleweight to you though?
I just think he's tall and lanky. Yeah, I think so.
Because
he's like 6'3" or 6'4".
Yeah, I guess he's just tall. Because when I just think of him,
an 80-inch reach.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. Well, it's just like when I think of him, I'm just like, Rockhold and YOLO are middleweights, and then I just look at him, and it's just like those look like two different completely weight classes.
Like I remember what about like Anderson or remember
Anderson
like what about like John Jones like circa like 2010 or 2011?
Because how old is he?
Kind of similar. 28.
Yeah, so he's still got a little bit of time to fill out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's 6'3".
If he wants to, I mean, he's got 80-inch reach. I mean, he's probably very similar in size to say like Neil Magny, who somehow makes welterweight. But yeah, that's something I just specifically wanted to talk about because I was really excited by it. And I'm told that yes, there are certainly people in the Twitterverse once again who are excited to. You're gonna lose some money.
There's always going to be those guys, right?
We'll quickly run through the rest of the.
There's always going to be those guys. There's going to be one. You're going to have.
They'll fade everybody to win.
You're going to have polar opposites. You're going to have guys that get hyped about guys that shouldn't or that they should, and then you're going to have the opposite of, oh, you're overhyping him. I'm going to fade him automatically. He's not that good. So it's. I don't know. What are you going to do? I think there's something there, but
you're not a top 5, top 6 kickboxer in the world if there's nothing there.
Yeah, and it's not like he's super young either, right? So he's a veteran in the kickboxing game, like he's been there. So it's good to see. It's fun to see in the middleweight division some more youth, which is definitely needed in that division.
Speaking of kickboxing, the Tyrone Spong injury was kind of a killer.
Ugh.
Remember how good could he have been in this type of thing? Could have been awesome. Could have been really awesome. But yeah, that's sports. We'll quickly run through the rest of the card. Starting off welterweight, Luke Jumio nearly getting finished in the first round. Defeats Daichi Abe and some of the weirdest scored rounds I can ever begin to tell you. I just don't get it. What round did they give Jumo 10-8?
The funny thing is,
two judges did it.
We'll never know because supposedly in Western Australia, legally they won't show or they choose not to show what the scorecards were. They just basically will show you what, not even the judges' names, I'm pretty sure. They just give you the numbers. It's like, what the fuck? How do you know? Like, we've had times where judges have added up incorrectly, and you're just not going to show that? Like, that's a bad look, especially on a card like this. Like, how do you give Jumo a fucking 10-8 and not give Abe a 10-8 in the first? Insane.
Nobody understands. Nobody. It seems like every week the last month it's been something.
I mean, on the plus side, you didn't lose 12 units on Abe though, Jay.
Yeah, I certainly did not. Certainly did not. Anyway, next fight up, Jose Quinones defeated I said he would, Teruto Ishihara, 30-27, 29-28, 29-28. And I think Ishihara won the second round. But some people are trying to tell me it was a 30-27. I don't know. But I really like Quinones' game plan here. He's a pretty smart fighter. And comes from that underrated tough Latin America season, which produced Yair Rodriguez, Gabriel Benitez. There's a few others as well. Alejandro Perez. Marlon Vera was on that season as well. A bunch of wins in the UFC. For all the crap that people... Remember there was a time...
I shit on it hard.
Remember when we said that we were unsure who would fare worse in UFC, China or Mexico?
Tough China versus tough Mexico. That was a legit conversation.
That was a conversation, and it's not close. It's not close.
No. Quinones has got to watch his defense, though. I mean, he definitely did get clipped a couple times, but
yeah.
Other than that,
he's not great.
No, he's not great. I mean, he's never going to be great, but I mean, he's definitely got some skills there.
He's serviceable on the lower tier of the bantamweight division. He's the type of guy who could end up. How many fights he got in the UFC? I'm curious. I got to look it up. He's got 5 UFC fights now.
Yep.
I mean, would it surprise you at all if he ends up with 10 or 12 fights in the organization before he kind of?
I mean, shit, he's won 4 straight.
He's won 4 straight fights. I mean, to be fair,
yes,
he's lost to Leonardo Morales. He's beat Leonardo Morales, Joey Gomez, Diego Rivas, and Ishihara. The 3 before that, I don't think are in the UFC anymore.
No.
Is Rivas? He might be.
Maybe. Or might have got cut. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like
the other 2 are.
He's always like, if they match him up with some guys and they throw him on a Texas card or a Mexico card, he'll be there. Even if he loses the next 2 of 3 or whatever, they still need these guys.
I mean, he's a guy who's going to have over 10 fights in the UFC. That's a pretty solid career.
Yep.
For MMA purposes. How many guys can say that? Not as many as you'd think. Anyway, Ross Pearson defeated Mizuto Hirota and was like a minus 140 favorite. What was that all about?
Yeah, I didn't touch that one. I picked Pearson just because of the matchup and the skill difference there, but I just couldn't put my money on Pearson with his history lately. But yeah, this is one where it was a fairly pedestrian win. Just the better fighter won.
Now I'll say this: I think Pearson's a fade moving forward.
Oh, of course.
I think this might give us an opportunity, though.
Yeah, it'll just depend on what he's matched up with next.
That's true, but some people were saying how he was avoiding strikes. He was facing a grappler who was forced to strike. It was a weird game plan from Hirota. I mean, he did hurt Pearson in the second round.
Yep.
I think Pearson looked slow, and it wasn't really talked about much. But
you might be right though.
There will be an opportunity
because people will be like, "Oh, he beat Hirota." And then his 4 losses before that were against good guys, so maybe he's not shot. So you might be right. We might get a cheaper price on whoever's gonna fight.
Yeah, if he faces like what weight is this? Is this featherweight or no lightweight? Let's take a look. If he had to face, I don't know. Oh, I got him graded here.
What is he, like a C minus?
I got him like a D plus. So
yeah.
I don't know. I bet you Sage Northcutt could beat him for Christ's sake.
Oh yeah,
maybe.
I think so.
Like Diakiese or Abel Trujillo, maybe even. I mean, that could be close.
That'd be close.
Yeah. Well, like Joaquin Silva, Alex White, Davi Ramos.
Yeah, there's a good chunk of. We'll see who
gets
next.
If they do the Dan Hooker fight, if they do that Dan Hooker fight again, I know where my money will be.
I'll
leave it
do that.
I don't think that. Well, if he's calling for it.
How long till the London card? Are they going to put him on the London card, or is that too close?
That's about a month away. I think 5.
Too close.
I don't think they can go there.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's got this weird thing. I think he's kind of like disowned.
Yeah, he's more Australian than he is English, eh?
Yeah, he's like he basically forgot about them. which it is what it is. But maybe he finds his way into on one of the Asian cards that they have later this year. I don't know. Apparently, he hasn't been back to England in like 2 years.
Oh wow. Well, yeah, because he moved. He was in California for a while because he was training at the Alliance.
Alliance, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Next fight, televised card. This was impressive. Formiga took out Ben Nguyen. We were talking about levels in this sport.
Yep.
It was nothing more, nothing less. I know it seems kind of cliche, but it's true. It's true. Ben Formiga has only lost to elite fighters. You can go through his entire career. I think he's basically lost to like only fighters that are maybe like top 6 or 7 all time in this weight class, all time.
And he's still getting better.
Yeah, he's solid. And Ben Nguyen has never beaten anyone of that caliber.
Yeah.
He was schooled in this bout, in my opinion.
He was.
Big
swing and the miss on my part on this one. I bet Ben Nguyen. It wasn't big or anything. I thought he would make some leaps, but Formiga just, like you said, levels to this. It was close for the first 2-3 minutes when they weren't doing anything other than a little bit of striking, and then you saw Formiga's bread and butter. He got Ben Nguyen down like instant mount almost, and he did his thing. Formiga's a monster on the ground, and then especially when he gets your back. Spinning back fist, it's pretty beautiful. He threw it actually the round before, and it just missed. But Ben Nguyen definitely didn't learn his lesson because that was clean. Formiga's good. I mean, if he can win one more fight against a top 5 guy, he'll probably get a title shot because he's one of the only guys that hasn't fought DJ.
Yeah, I think he deserves it. I think we have to consider it at this point, just for difference in matchup purposes. I think it's time. There's no reason for him to have to do a number 1 contender bout. A fight that I thought was going to be a lot closer and was kind of blown away that it wasn't. Mr. Alex Volkanovski, he ran through Jeremy Kennedy.
Trucked him.
Yeah, I mean, Kennedy, I think he's a pretty decent grappler, or I should say grinder. Kind of reminds me of, just his grappling, or just kind of attempt to wrestle, grapple is kind of Darren Elkins-esque, but certainly not as resilient. And that's the difference. Volkanovski ran through him and put him in this division as kind of a dark horse to really make some moves here. What do you think?
That ground and pound was fucking impressive. Holy cow. It's been a while, I think. It almost seemed like these guys were 2 weight classes apart by the way that Volkanovski was able to just rain power punches through. Yeah, I was definitely not high on Jeremy Kennedy. I had this fight to I think over 2.5, as well as a little bit on goes the distance, and that was a big fat loss. Jeremy Kennedy could do really nothing from underneath. He's definitely a top game fighter because he could do nothing to get out from underneath. And I mean, you got to give Volkanovski credit for that pressure and power from on top, but as a fighter, you got to be able to get out from underneath at some point.
Yeah, you do.
Volkanovski, very impressive. We'll be excited to see him in his next fight.
Yeah, I think he's going to be hard for him to get fights. I got to be honest with you.
He's going to be in that category. Him and
Zabit Magomedsharipov.
Yeah. All these guys, nobody wants to fight him. I mean, we saw that with Covington. We saw that with, well, not so much Covington, but Usman. I mean,
you're
at some point,
seeing that with, I know, what's his name? Gillespie. There's a bunch of them.
Like, it's shitty. I mean, the whole point of the way that UFC is supposedly better than boxing is we get these matchups. Well, not if everybody above you won't fight you. Like, it's kind of shitty.
I think we've kind of figured out the secret sauce of what do fighters fear? Or what they don't like fighting against. It's pretty clear. It's guys with super heavy wrestling games that can beat the crap out of you when they're on top of you.
Yeah, because that's no
Dude,
fun.
that's no fun. And there are several of them, and they are money trains. I think Volkanovski, I don't think he's going to be in the top 15 after this win, but he's going to be damn close, and he really should get a Dennis Bermudez type of fighter next.
Yeah, he wasn't ranked as of this week, but
the new rankings came out?
Yep, because they come out every Monday.
I'll have to take a gander now that we're talking about it. What do we got here?
Not much movement in the featherweight division. Jeremy Stevens has a fight soon, so he got a one-fight bump.
This is really disappointing. There's not much here. You weren't kidding.
Yeah.
Let's take a look more. Tyson Pedro moved up. Curtis Blaydes up to 5th. I'd say that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, not much. Not much.
But yeah,
That's
at
weird.
this point, you got to give Volkanovski a close to top 15 fighter, or somebody that just dropped out, like you said, Bermudez or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, a fight with Mirsad Bektic would be freaking amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah, but why would you do that?
I agree. Like, different paths, right? And the problem is, featherweight's got so many dudes.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
awesome.
talent.
There's a lot
It
of
might
talent.
be the best. It might be it's getting to the point where it might be the best. There's just a lot. There's a lot going on. It's deep, and there's talented fighters with a lot of different variety. I feel like lightweight's gone a little bit stale, honestly.
It's because nobody's really well. I mean, there hasn't been that many fights recently, I guess. I mean, it's going to pick up right away with Poirier's fighting Gaethje, right?
I think it's a lot more striker focused. Well, I think featherweight has a lot more. I think there's just more variety in the type of fighters.
Because you got sub guys, you got wrestlers, you got strikers, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, there's a little bit of everything, and there's more, and it's younger, which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Yancy Medeiros is ranked. I see that. That's something else. Anyway, I didn't know they were ready for that. So, just a few more touch on. We talked about the Stylebender. I don't think we need to go there, except Wilkinson got that was ugly. The Little Dong got a split decision win over Damian Brown. This is more hometown cooking. Like, what 2 rounds did Damian Brown win? New Shaun, tell me.
I have no idea. I don't get that one.
And I feel like it should be like forced retirement if you have full on gray hair, like Richard Gere, gray hair.
You better be careful. You might piss off Brad and his lover of Dan Kelly.
Oh yeah. Main card. Tyson Pedro beat up a Dagestani fighter, but the worst Dagestani fighter to ever be in the UFC.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, probably right. Worst.
Yeah. He's probably, I would say, the worst one. It's not. He seems to be a black sheep. That's for sure. Because he's not that good. I mean, that was an impressive finish. It's been a while since we seen something like that where he was able to get off the cage and reverse using a Kimura and then lock it in. I know Safarov is not good, but just a fun fight and good to see Tyson Pedro do something.
Big Bieber took out China Goat.
Ugh, another big fat L.
That was an entertaining fight, though.
You like the ode to old school wrestling with the eye rake and stuff like that, Jay?
Oh yeah, give me a freaking break.
Oh shit. Yeah, I bet Lil Jangalang, China Goat. At the time I obviously did not know I was getting mushed by the max bet of the season. But I guess that'll happen from.
But you found out.
I found out a little late, so what can you do? that was fairly impressive from Jake Matthews. You know, we haven't really seen what he was showing in there. He was happy to slug it out with Lil Jangalang, who likes that as well. But Lil Bieber's striking was pretty on point. He was able to rock Jangalang a shit ton of times.
He dropped on 3 times, I think.
Yeah. And the outrage after this fight is hilarious.
What else is new?
So people are so pissed because he raked the eyes to get out of a submission. Everybody thinks that MMA is so it needs to be like so professional and all this shit. It's like, man, if somebody had me in a choke, I'd probably try to fight any way out of it. That's on the ref to stop. That's all his fault. As soon as he was poking this guy, and he was there, like there was no excuse for that ref not to do something about that. He was like telling him to not get his hands out of his eye. It's like, dude's being choked to death. You got to pull his hand away from the dude's eyes. Like, come on. Yeah, they're pissed because Zhang Lang got 50 grand for fight of the night, and the only reason he got that is because he poked his guy's eyes and got it out of that choke. Oh, I love MMA sometimes. And the moral of the story is always cheat every fight. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, until you get exactly.
Yeah, because it's always worth it. The refereeing is fucking terrible in MMA, and the juice is always worth the squeeze.
You got warnings. You got warnings. Everything.
For
What's
everything.
the difference? There's no immediate.
No, juice is always worth the squeeze. Always cheat. I want all my fighters that I bet on to cheat. Yeah. And I don't give a shit. Simple as that.
Words to live by Mr. Canada. Last one, my dude Tai Tuivasa ran through Cyril Asker.
Poor French baby dick.
French baby dick.
Yeah, Tuivasa's fun as hell. I mean, he was throwing. He was throwing.
He drinks
wild
beer
shit.
out of a sticker.
Yeah, after he fucking wins, gives a shoe and just chugs a whole beer out of it. That's awesome. But yeah, just the skill difference in this fight was pretty big. Tuivasa's throwing just unique strikes, throwing elbows and all kinds of shit. And I mean, the only credit I'll give to Asker is he can take an ass whooping because he didn't go down, and I don't know many other fighters that wouldn't have from that vicious beat down from Tuivasa. Fun dude for the heavyweights. Good to see.
Yeah, there's definitely been a little bit of an emergence of Oceania, I don't know, Polynesian MMA. It's kind of cool.
Yep.
Yeah, they're fun. They're usually not grappling wizards at all.
No.
They got no problem throwing.
Nope.
Yeah, it's funny. I forget who's married to who, but I think
Tyson
Pedro is married to Tuivasa's sister or something.
Yeah, I believe that's the way it is.
They do a podcast together. I need to listen at one point.
Yeah.
Should be interesting enough. Those guys look like having
a good time at all times. Yeah.
Yeah, at all times. Yeah, rock and roll. I'm looking forward to him. He's young. He's fun to watch. He'll be in the UFC for a while, I think.
With the style that he fights and the skills that he has.
Hell yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, totally. Let's quickly jump into Fight Night 126. This, like we said, the Sosman's going to be down there.
The whole crew that's going to be down there.
Good, some good. Is sometimes host of the MMA analysis Dougie going down there? I think he is.
I don't know if Dougie's going to that or not.
I think he might be.
He might be.
I think
old ball coach is going.
Yeah. And of course, that's Jerry's hometown, so he'll be down there.
He's the host.
He's hosting, as you would imagine. So if you guys are listeners of the show, reach out to those guys. I'm sure they'll certainly have a drink or so with you, and share some war stories. Maybe you could even do some BJJ.
Yeah, you can get choked
if you want to. Of listeners of the show, that could be fun. I'd bet on that. I'd watch that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, let's talk about this fight card. not the best fight card.
It's a bit of a rough one.
It was better, but there's been some injuries, some pullouts.
Moving fights to other
There's
cards.
a lot. I mean, Ray Borg was supposed to fight Brandon Moreno on this thing. That was pulled. Tanya Evinger was supposed to be on this card, who I think Dougie was really excited about.
Yep.
She was supposed to face Marion Renault. She got pulled from the card. Trying to see who else is on this thing. We talked about Borg and Moreno. The former Invicta champion. Strawweight was supposed to fight Jessica Aguilar. So there are some names on this card, from the different aspects of the sport that were pulled, unfortunately. So it is what it is. But usually, I always say the cards that no one talks about ends up being the fun ones. So could be entertaining. Sunday night, President's Day in the United States on a Monday, so it's a holiday for us Americans. Sorry, new Shaun.
It's a holiday for me too. It's family day.
Wait, it's what day?
It's family day.
Wait, what? That's a thing?
That's a thing.
Oh, you freaking copycats!
What is it for you guys again?
President's Day.
Oh well, your family's more important.
George Washington's birthday. God damn it!
Yeah, so we're everybody's got the day off. It's nice.
That's exactly. So Sunday night card works perfectly. It's like a Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it'll feel like. So welterweight bout to start the card. The return of Josh Berkman, who hasn't looked so good his last few fights, taking on a younger guy, Alex Morano. New Shaun.
I mean, I don't know how anybody can back Berkman at this point. He is what?
He's a plus 180 underdog.
Well, he's 1-7 in his last 8 fights.
I'm gonna have to look at that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, he's
lost. Well,
last 4 he lost his last 4. He beat KJ Nunes, and then he lost 3 in a row.
He got knocked out by Dober in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had the over in that fight. That was not very nice. I don't think much of the Great White Hope, I guess. I don't know. His nickname's the Great White. I don't know. He's
10 years younger, though.
Yeah. The age difference, I think, is going to be big. If I were to bet anything, it would probably be Moreno, hopefully in the low or in the high minus 100s, but we'll see what the line comes out when it does. But yeah, the pick's got to be Moreno. Berkman's pretty much a corpse at this point. I don't even know how he has a job, to be honest.
That's valid. I got Berkman at D, Alex Morano at D+. New Shaun kind of nailed it. Morano's the play here. It's just a matter of getting a price that you're kind of comfortable with, because he's lost some bizarro ways too. Been ahead on Nico Price and then got KO'd. He's not super reliable, but I mean, he kind of has a pretty good gas tank. He'll kind of throw things at you. He's aggressive. I mean, Berkman, at one point had a pretty heavy hand, but doesn't really have it anymore. He's going to get outworked here for sure. He's not going to be able to have the same pace as Morano. And Morano should win. I think this is honestly probably one of the, in my opinion, doesn't have a lot of good opportunities. I think this is one of the better ones, and I would look at it as a parlay piece. But I'm like New Shaun. If I could I would prefer to get under minus 200. But we'll see if it gets there. Next bout up, Brandon Davis returning again, right? Didn't he fight like 5 weeks ago?
He fought on the Ngannou Miocic card.
What are we doing? I mean, unless he wanted to get down there, he's from Texas. Maybe that's what it is. I forget. I guess that can make sense. Fighting against Steven Peterson. New Shaun, any thoughts on this one?
Not too much. I've seen a little bit of Peterson from LFA, and then obviously lost on the Contender Series. Don't have too much on this fight. Didn't think too much of Brandon Davis. I know some other people are a bit higher on him, but it's just a stay away fight. I'll pick the underdog Peterson in this one. He's got my last name, so why not?
Yeah, this guy's He's pretty decent. I haven't finalized my grade on Peterson yet, as you'll be able to find an article later this week on him on mma-oddsbreaker.com. But the thing with Peterson is he's a grinder. He has some submission abilities, but he's really a grinder. He's going to make Davis work, and I think that's going to be enough to get him the win. I mean, I would favor Stephen Peterson in this bout because of just level of competition for one, and then two, just ability to grind. At the lower levels of MMA, if you're able to grind and avoid being KO'd, you're going to win fights. End of story. Anyway, next bout. Sarah Moras, who doesn't like to see more ass. I know certain people would like to see more of that from the Genie Bouchard Sports Illustrated photos. Yes, those were very nice. Yes, taking on Lucy Pudilova,
the Poods lover. She loves the Poods.
She loves the. Yes. Why is she not in KSW?
That's a good
she
question.
Should be.
That's where she should call home. I don't have much on this fight. I got to see Sarah Moras' last fight. I had the over in that fight, and she decided to armbar Ashley Evans-Smith in 2.5 minutes or so, which isn't a terrible thing because I was actually in person watching that, so at least it got it out of the way. It did lose me some money. But likely, I'm probably going to bet the over whenever the hell it comes out. Hopefully, in the minus 200, minus low 100 or the high 100 range. That'd be good because that's what I do.
Yeah. Yes, you do. I got Moras actually a C minus, Pudilova a D plus. Yeah, I grade her a little higher. Just better level of experience, but I mean, it's hard to kind of. When a fight's going to go to a decision and both, don't really have any impactful strikes, it's going to go to the ground probably, and then it could be a bit of a scramble type of stuff. I mean, Moras, I think, has a little bit of advantage there, but she's the type of fighter that, we've seen it before, could get on her back, is comfortable on her back, could lose rounds that way, despite maybe being more active. It's kind of a dangerous fight to bet. From a side perspective, in my opinion. So I would avoid that. I think New Shaun's kind of on the right track with the over.
Never.
That's probably a winner. It's going to be expensive, but pretty much a winner. We got a battle of Sanchez's, New Shaun.
I know. It's going to be
Roberto and
Spy
Joby
versus Spy.
Man, what is going on here? This should be illegal.
Why? Just why?
No one knows.
I mean, I guess the one guy's from Texas, the other guy's from New Mexico. Why not? I don't know.
Why not?
I don't really remember Roberto Sanchez. I know he lost by rear naked choke early in the fight against Joseph Morales, who isn't a terrible
He's a good
fighter.
fighter.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Joby Sanchez, I mean, he looked pretty good on the Dana White Contender Series. He got 2 fights on there. But the problem with him is he fights out of Jackson Winklejohn. And I'm pretty sure they're on a 20-fight losing streak.
I think this is a great angle.
So when a train's going like that, you just jump on board. I gotta pick Roberto Sanchez. I might toss a couple dollars just to have some fun on him as well.
He's the underdog here, too.
He is. Small underdog.
I think that's fair. I don't really want to talk about this fight, actually. I wasn't going to. I think it's interesting. I actually thought that Roberto Sanchez would be favored. I think there's a bit more pedigree there, despite Joby Sanchez being more experienced fighting the UFC prior. They both grapple. I just think Roberto Sanchez is definitely a better finisher. Just better, better jiu-jitsu game. I mean, all of his wins except for one have been submission. Definitely watch out for him. I think this. I think it's kind of a, what do we call that? Or, yeah, FFF, right? No. Whatever. The wrong fighter favored.
Wrong fighter
Anyway.
favorite. There you go.
WFF. Sorry. I was losing my mind there. Yeah. Middleweight. Oscar Pichote taking on. This feels like a WWE name, Tim Williams. And have you seen his nickname?
Yeah, it's up your alley. The South Jersey Strangler.
Is he a serial killer?
Oh,
Should we do a podcast about him? We could do a whole series on the South Jersey Strangler.
Oh my goodness! He for sure seems like the most basic WWE character ever. The basic name, the South Jersey Strangler nickname. It's all kinds of awesomeness. Oscar Pichodes, he looked all right in this fight. But Jonathan Wilson is not good. He's coming over from Poland, which is a bit different from fighting in Texas. That's going to be an interesting travel for him. I don't know. That's a tough one. The line's only been opened at one sportsbook, and Pichodes is a pretty big favorite. We'll see when the other lines come out what the deal is, but I guess I'll pick the old Pichodes to be able to fly across the Atlantic and still win. That's a tough one.
No, I think you're on the right track. I got Pichote a C-, Williams a D+. I do think the line is a bit out of whack because both these guys do similar things. Neither really has one-punch knockout power. They're not power guys. They're both kind of grappler grinders. I just think Pichote once he gets to the grappling situations, I think his submission game is a lot better. It makes him way more dangerous to finish. Williams has a lot of experience. Fought out of Cage Fury Fighting Championships out of the New York area, which is definitely one of the better regional promotions in the U.S. and certainly one of the best ones on the East Coast, without a doubt. A lot of talent comes out of there. Just from recent times, I know Caitlin Chukagian, for example, a lot of Jersey-based fighters, kind of come out of there. Jersey, mainly New York State. And so the level of experience that these guys have when they come into the UFC is pretty solid. They're kind of ready to go at this level, and he was also fought on Tough, or as part of one of the Tough seasons, I think Tough 19. So good amount of experience coming in. Pichote, coming over from outside the U.S. for this bout, but again, I think it comes down to the submission experience. He could definitely threaten a lot more, and he's definitely more likely to finish. But I think Williams, at like over plus 200, he has a shot to win this bout, but he's got to be careful of the submission attempts. I think this is the last prelim fight, and I'm looking forward to this one. I think this is, off a 2-year absence, taking on another New York guy, Jared Gordon, Shaun.
Yeah, Ferreira got USADA'd. He's been out for over 2 years. He did have that impressive I don't know if you call that a win. Do you think he won that Ohm fight? It was close. And obviously he's Canadian, so I don't know. It was a close fight, whatever. And so it's hard to know what he's going to bring 2 years out of the game after getting busted. I know some people are high on Jared Gordon. They like his story. Fairly impressive win against Hackern Diaz, even though Diaz has kind of fell off a cliff, but he's still, he's a okay featherweight. So, featherweight or lightweight? Lightweight. So it's hard not to like Gordon with the layoff here. I wouldn't mind it a little bit cheaper, but if I don't like anything else on this card, I might have to snap up that minus 245.
Fair enough. Oh, man. I like Jared Gordon here. I got him a C. Carlos Diego Ferreira, a C-. I mean, you're also fading a guy who's been out for 2 years. He's older. and he's going to have rust, and he's facing a guy who's not going to let him breathe. I mean, that's Jared Gordon in a nutshell. He's like nonstop action. Who's the fighter whose nickname was that? Nonstop.
Action packed.
Is that Dominic Steele?
It's got to be one of those guys.
But that's what Jared Gordon is. I think he was my pick for, the breakout fighter in this division in 2018. He's kind of just like a buzzsaw. He just keeps running, the Energizer Bunny, just tires dudes out on top of you, can throw punches, pretty good ground and pound, grapples. I think it's just a brutal fight to come back for Ferreira. It's like, can't even ease yourself into the opportunity. And that's going to be it. I think, we saw what Gordon did to Hakron Diaz, who's, just physically strong, kind of a stout fighter. Ferreira, a little more finesse, but he's going to have a lot of trouble here against Gordon. So I like Gordon. I think he's one of the best bets of the bout on the fight card, and like a Gordon Morano parlay. I think Nushan and I were talking about it before the card. It kind of pays out around plus 110. Yeah. That's pretty good. Kind of fading against for good reasons, and you're taking much younger fighters with pretty good aggressive volume heavy strikers, so can pick up rounds even if they can't finish. So I think that's a strategy on that one. Main card, and look who he started off with, Nushan. Look who's back. Sage Northcutt.
The super one.
The super Sage from Katy, Texas, taking on something called Thibaut Gouti. Man, Nushan. He can't lose this fight, can he?
No.
He can't.
No, they're setting him up for this win. He's in his home state. Gouti pulled a rabbit out of his hat last fight. I was really expecting Holbrook to win and he get cut, but he knocked him out, which, you got to give him credit, but I think this is them trying to get rid of him. He's another guy that fights for Jackson Winklejohn, so you know what kind of run they've been on. And you can say that's just randomness, but when everybody that you train with continues to lose, that's gotta sneak into your brain and start questioning things. As for Northcutt, I think people kind of went too far the other way on him. Everybody was so down on him that they faded him or said he was garbage, and then he looked pretty decent his last fight against Michael Quinones. Obviously, I would have liked Sage Northcutt a lot better at the opener. He opened minus 215. I think that's playable against a terrible fighter in Gouti. I'm not going to touch it at minus 300. We know what can happen when Sage is way too big of a favorite, but I think he does really well in this fight. I don't know if he gets a finish, but it should be one-way traffic.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Sage Northcutt, how can we forget? D+, Gouti a D-. This is Texas. Sage is there against a guy who's, what's he done in the UFC? He's 1-3 with losses. Got finished by Temu Pakalunj, sub by Ohm, TKO'd by Chad LaPriest, and he has the KO over Andrew Holbrook, who we realize is not very good, and somehow beat Jake Matthews, which in hindsight seems it was kind of like a surprise. But Holbrook is no good. At least we know it's Sage. He can at least take a punch, or like he's taking some punches. Is this guy really going to take Sage to deep waters? I don't see it. That's really the way to beat Sage, is to kind of let him wear himself out, and then kind of outwork him. That's what we've seen. This guy doesn't have that skill set. Sage, way more athletic, way more skill, way more talent, fighting at home. I think the UFC realized it's pretty clear they want to build this guy. They've been wanting to do so for such a long time that now they're getting super cautious with with his bookings and just give him like the worst guys they have on the roster possible. And that's the way I see this one. So Sage, I think, is actually a really good bet. Again, he's minus 270 or minus 300. Other books he's a little lower, 275. I see a few places. I mean, minus 300. I mean, that seems pretty cheap. Got to be honest with you. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how he wins. Probably decision because it seems like a Sage thing to do. But, he could want to impress in front of his home fans. But yeah, he wins. Another case. I mean, it could be a parlay piece. Again, it just seems very hard to see him lose here. Yeah. Next bout. Not one I really want to talk about. Don't really care. The other Camozzi against Jeffrey Neal. Do you care? We can move on. Do we even want to talk about this?
I'll just touch on one thing. Like, what did Brian Camozzi or his brother do to the UFC? Because Brian Camozzi got kind of thrown to the wolves in his UFC career. In his first fight, he fought Randy Brown, and the next fight, he fought Chad Laprise. Got smashed in both of them. And I mean, it looks like he's set up to get smashed by Jeff Neal. That's a rough UFC career, and that's kind of all I got for this one.
Yeah, I got nothing to say. I don't care about this bout. This
Hopefully
is probably of any bout on this card. This might be the one I care least about.
There you go.
More interesting, Curtis Millender comes to the UFC and he's facing Thiago Alves. What do you think of that? The return of Mr. Alves.
That's an interesting person for him to be given on his opening fight. Was this a late notice or anything like that? Like, I'm kind of surprised by this matchup. Just giving Millender a named fighter. I don't think much of Alves at this point in his career. I know he got his win against Patrick Cote. Like in April last year, so it's coming up on almost a year. But yeah, Pitbull is so far from what he was. Melenders look good on LFA. I think you kind of have to take a small shot at Millender. I know it's his debut, which seems to be tough with a lot of fighters. So hopefully he can get through those early jitters, but. At plus money, I think you kind of got to sprinkle a little bit on Millender with Pitbull in the state that he's in.
Yes. I got Millender a D+, Thiago Alves a C-. Man.
You're not as low on Alves as I am?
I don't think I am, but it's even hard to even really grade, and it's hard to really ponder how this fight plays out because it really all kind of depends on Thiago Alves, right? Because from a skill level, he's superior. I don't think anyone's going to argue that, but it just seems like you never know what you really get with this guy. You just don't, and that makes you nervous. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want my money anywhere near this bout in any capacity. I just think that the skill level advantage is too vast still. That I mean, I have to think Thiago Alves wins, but it's tough. I think this one is you're gonna have to let this one go because if you're really looking for like name value and name recognition, you don't want to do the research. For this card, I think the least the final three bouts on the card allow you that opportunity. If you want to do that, so let's move on to that. New Shaun, we got the return of Grandpa Trinaldo.
Yes,
taking on the Texas Cutioner and a proponent, a big betting proponent actually in MMA circles. Mm-hmm. A fighter very willing to talk about betting. Mr. James Vick, Lloyd Irvin's accomplice. New Shaun, thoughts?
Accomplice is right. You know who I'm on. I'm on the Grandpa, the ageless one, 39 going on 65. Grandpa Trinaldo. He's the resurgence of his career is insane. I mean, he's not fighting or beating world beaters, but he's got some good wins. I know he lost to Kevin Lee. I mean, that's not a bad loss. We know how good Kevin Lee is. And the problem with James Vick is, you know who's going to be betting him. And the unfortunate part is he's on the coldest of cold streaks. So this is me loving Grandpa Trinaldo and a fade of the coldest cold streak right now. Got to sprinkle and pick Grandpa Trinaldo at plus 180. Vic is crying for a main event. Maybe he just looks past Grandpa Trinaldo and Grandpa Trinaldo can reenact the beautiful violence that Beneil Dariush put on him.
I'm not sure I agree, but I got Trinaldo a C+, James Vick a B-. Kind of tired of betting against James Vick. Got to be honest with you.
That makes one of you.
Yeah. I think I learned my lesson. He's super long for this weight class. Still a little concerned about his defensive wrestling and certainly his chin. But, I mean, he went with Duffy toe-to-toe, and he got it done. And he finished him, too. It was tremendous. So, let's I'm going to pick Vic. I think he's going to win in front of the home crowd. I think he's going to outstrike Grandpa Trinaldo, and that's it. He may even get a finish in this bout. It wouldn't completely shock me, but it's a little more than I'd be willing to pay. I wanted around 2-1. I think that was. I was kind of thinking it would be even lower than that. But people are smart, I think, here. At 220, I think I get it. There's some advantages here for Mr. Vick, and he's going to get the W, unfortunately.
I told the Kentucky Sodsman to make sure that he's watching out for Lloyd Irvin and the chloroform. We can't have any funny business happening to Grandpa Trinaldo.
That would be very nice. It's a very rude welcome from somebody from another country.
Right.
Yeah, very. Co-main event, Marcin Tybura is coming over from Poland, taking on another one of Texas' finest, the Black Beast, Derek Lewis. Oh, man, he's something else.
He's a beauty. He
likes money. He's like, I don't care about titles. I just care about money. That sounds like a very Lance Fishel way of thinking, don't you think?
Oh, definitely. That's 100% official right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this fight. Heavyweights is always kind of a crapshoot, especially middling heavyweights. Derek Lewis, if he gets you down, you're going to probably be in trouble. If Tybura gets on top of you, you're probably going to be in trouble. So, I don't know. This seems like a coin flip to me. I don't really want to have my money anywhere near this. Hopefully, Derek Lewis gets a win in front of Texas. That'd be pretty sweet. So, I will pick him at plus 140.
You're picking who? Tybura?
No, I'm picking Lewis at plus 140. Hometown.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think these close fights. I know Tybura's skilled. His skills are
very
definitely
skilled.
Better. But it seems like at heavyweight, that doesn't matter sometimes because these guys hit so hard.
Just got to get the fight to the ground.
Right. So, we'll see.
Yeah, I got both these guys C+. I think this is an intriguing bout because of the style differences. Obviously, Lewis wants to keep it standing. I mean, from top control, he's been dangerous a lot of his career, but Tybura's a bit different. I mean, he's got good takedown defense. He's pretty good wrestler. He's very comfortable. He's already faced some pretty good fighters in his own right. Verdum, he fought. Obviously, went 5 rounds with Verdum. He beat Arlovsky. He fought Timmy Big Dick. So he has some experience. I think this is not an easy fight for Derek Lewis. as a guy who's only been finished once in his career as well, Tibura, it could be interesting. Don't like that he's training with Jackson Wink, though.
There's another one.
Another one. That is dangerous. Tough one. I think this is close. I think I kind of get why Lewis, Tibura's favored. That's interesting.
Money's actually came in on him because I'm pretty sure it was closer when it came out. Yeah, he was minus 130 to begin with.
I mean, the reality is he has more to offer. He's more well-rounded than Derek Lewis. But, yeah, there's a size advantage for Derek Lewis. You can argue a potential strength advantage. I'm not really sure if that's really true. Just Tibura's skill set is, I think it's a little underrated. Close fight. I would have liked to kind of go with Tibura here. I actually thought it was going to be the underdog, or like a slight underdog in this bout, but close to even. It's a little, minus 160 is a bit of a surprise. So, to me, it's stay away at that price. Main event. Let's just jump to it. Return of Donald Cerrone facing another Hawaiian who they claim they're taking over stuff. Yancy Medeiros.
You're so enthused, Jay.
Yeah.
I mean,
did Shaun White win the gold, Shaun?
What's that?
Did Shaun White win that gold medal?
Oh, I am not watching that. I hope so. I bet him.
He was second place after the second run. I need to see what happened. I'm going to let you know.
All right. Yeah, I mean, this should be a fun fight. These guys are definitely offensive fighters. Their defense is somewhat flawed. This is going to be a tough one for me because I'm going to be back in John Cerrone, and you know where he trains. So
yes, he is. Gold medal.
Maybe he won.
That's
nice. That was my bet that I gave out on the podcast last week. We're just keeping undefeated.
Yeah. We don't like to lose here.
I know. So I don't know. Maybe because Cerrone trains on his own ranch, maybe he can bypass the mush that is Jackson Wink right now. I don't think Yancy Medeiros is very good. He definitely should have lost that the Cowboy fight last time out. I mean, credit to him. He broke Cowboy's nose or whatever the hell he broke there, and was able to come back. But if Donald Cerrone at this point loses to Yancy Medeiros, it's going to be time. I know he got smashed by Darren Till. Darren Till's a pretty good fighter. He was in a close decision with Robbie Lawler, and then he got smashed by Miles Woodall. These are very good fighters. Medeiros is not these guys. I bet doesn't go the distance at minus 225. It got steamed a bunch today. I think it's at minus 260 now. Definitely think one of these guys is getting put out over 5 rounds. It's a long time for the way these guys
What is
fight.
the price of that?
Well, now it's minus 260. I got it at minus 225.
That's a gift.
I know, especially for a 5-round fight.
That might be our best bet on the card.
I mean, I think it is. There's a lot of people that are on it. It got steamed a bunch today.
What was it before? Say it again.
It was. I mean, it got steamed a bunch. So it was minus 175 at the open. It was like minus 180 for like a couple days, and then now it's dropped to minus 260.
That's still a joke.
Yeah, it
could be like minus 450.
I think that's parlay material, the way these guys fight.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And then I'm also going to sprinkle in Cowboy inside the distance at plus 175. I think that's the route to go. It's just cheaper than minus 160, and I think Cowboy finishes. But definitely think the doesn't go the distance is the best bet on this fight.
I got both these guys a C+. Yeah, this is going to be a kill or be killed fight. I really like that fight doesn't go the distance. I think that's, a pretty good play. And certainly parlayable with like a Jared Gordon or, even Northcutt, I think that could work. You'll pay a little bit of juice, like minus 125 or so, but like a Northcutt, Cerrone, Medeiros doesn't go the distance. I think that's a pretty good play because both these guys are going to strike. They're going to throw. It's going to be entertaining. That's why they booked this, because they knew it wouldn't be boring. They're going to come forward. They're both susceptible of being hit. They're both susceptible of being hurt. Hard not seeing a finish in this one. I mean, 3 rounds is one thing, 5 rounds is another. And I'm not sure who's going to win. I have to be honest with you. It's hard to trust Donald Cerrone these days. Medeiros will continue to come. We see them kind of, we've done a little bit of a zombie action, but both capable of submissions too. It doesn't necessarily need to be a knockout. Keep that in mind. So, you know what? I'm going to be different just to be different and say Medeiros wins, but honestly, I don't know. But the bet and the look is Cerrone and Medeiros doesn't go the distance. It seems like we should be near a consensus, Shaun. We have nothing to parlay it with, and we don't want to bet straight. So I think we do our Clay Davis action and move on to the next week.
Yep, that sounds like a plan.
All right, and congrats to Shaun White and new Shaun for providing that little bet on the ski slopes or the snowboard slopes, whatever they call a snowboard.
It's a half pipe, Jay. Come on now.
Sorry, I'm not a skater boy. Do you have any more Olympic bets to put out there?
Let's see. That was my biggest bet. I mean, it wasn't anything big. But there's a little bit of stuff to go out there. I think curling's already started. You can't hit Canada for curling. I got them to sweep it all. Take the Canadian women's bobsled team at plus 230. That's Humphreys 2 women bobsled. I think that's a winner.
Okay. And I was talking on the news show before, I wanted to start doing this, but I get sometimes I think it's surprising, but a lot of questions about, shows to watch, because I do a good amount of tweeting about, like, recommending Netflix shows. So I'll start there, and then, I've been doing a lot of podcast listening recently as well, so I'll start giving out some shows that people should check out. So from the Netflix side, I got through all 4 seasons of Peaky Blinders, and first 2 seasons were good. First season I give like 7, like second season, more like a 6, 5.5. Didn't love it. Third season though was like a 7.5, and then the fourth season's like fucking awesome.
Wow,
a 9, like a 9.
You don't
usually
awesome. See that. Things getting better after like the second season.
Yeah, it was weird. I thought it was weird as well. I was like, should I give it another shot? I was talking to one of my cousins, and he says, yeah, it's like it actually gets better. And I was like, really? That's awesome. And fourth season, I won't spoil too much, but Adrian Brody is a character introduced, and it's just like an awesome rivalry with him and one of the main characters, and it's great. Tom Hardy plays a gang boss there, like a Jewish gang boss. It's just a really cool character. And it's, if you don't know anything about Peaky Blinders, in 1920s, Birmingham, England, follows kind of the rise of a local gang into like a much bigger thing. And, it's kind of like a Boardwalk Empire meets Sopranos kind of a vibe. And it's fun. It's a fun watch, only 6-episode season, so it's a pretty quick hour-long episodes. It's good binge-worthy material. And like I said, it's got staying power. Beyond, sometimes you just wonder some of the shows. First season's amazing. Second season's okay, but it gets progressively worse, and then they don't know what the hell to do with it, and then they kill it. But in this case, it gets better, and I'm curious to see what season 5 comes out to. So check that one out. And then the podcast side. So this podcast just came out called Business Wars, which kind of relates to Netflix. So the concept the podcast comes from Wondery, who do a really good job of putting out podcasts, really good production value. And they're kind of like mini seasons. So the first season is focused on, we'll call it a business war between Netflix and Blockbuster and HBO. So it kind of just tells the story of kind of how they all kind of were in business at the same time, and how Blockbuster got killed off, and how Netflix rose, and then how HBO tried to fight it, and that whole vibe. So it's a really good listen, just really well told, and I don't think people really know the full background story. And it's worth kind of knowing, considering where the world's going. The next season of that's actually really cool, and it's sports related. So it's Adidas versus Nike. So the whole backstory of them competing head to head. So I think that will be really cool listen to, and it's informative and interesting. So
Nice.
check those out. Yeah. And with that, I think we're about done this week, new Shaun.
Yeah, next week.
How did you enjoy that 2-man show? No Sodsman, no Southern drawl.
I know. I missed that Southern drawl.
It'll
be back next week when we break down the UFC Fox card that everyone is shit on.
I guess we should take a quick look. We could take a minute look at it. I'll give a 1 to 10 grade on what I think of it. Let me just go through the matchups. Manny Bermudez, I like that. Eric Shelton, okay. Yaya's back. A Sam Alvey appearance. Burns and Ohm.
That's probably going to be terrible.
Ben Saunders and Alan Joban should be good.
That'll be
Angela
fun.
Hill and Marina Moroz will not.
Nope.
Sarah McMahon and Renault. Barrow and Keller. And then the main card starts off with Platinum Mike again. He's
Violence.
back in Florida.
Yep.
Oh, that could be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we don't know what could be going on there.
The Horse
We got the
Lord.
return of the Horse Lord. And then the fight that I said should be the main event, the Andrade Torres fights a 3-rounder.
Yeah, winner gets a title shot, likely.
Yeah, I think so. And then Emmett somehow snuck his face into a main event he shouldn't be in. What is the line of that fight currently? That main event?
It's gone up a bunch. I know we were talking about it.
Deservingly so.
It's like in the minus 150, minus 160 range.
Still seems cheap. I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah, I got it like minus 125.
That's a joke. I'm gonna say this fight card's like a. I mean, what are we comparing it to?
The problem is this fight card doesn't have the top end. I think it has a lot of good fights. It doesn't have any great fights that people want to see. But
I mean, am I comparing this to like UFC 200 or UFC 100 to 10?
No, you're comparing it. What was the last Fox card? That's what we should be comparing it, because that's apples to apples.
Well, I think it's let's compare it to the last Fox card, which was Corey Sandhagen defeated Austin Arnett. Okay, Nico Price beat George Sullivan. Pickle beat Joaquim Silva, which he didn't. Ji Yoon Kim defeated Justine Kish. Reina Marcos defeated Juliana Lima. Chukagian fight. Then the Bektic bomb, Bobby Green decision. So far I like the other card better. This card coming up better.
Mm-hmm.
Dober defeated Camacho. That was okay. The Gillespie beat down Feely, and then Jacare. I think this card is better than the January one.
It just doesn't have the household name at the top. That's all I think it is.
I mean, it's got Jeremy Stevens. That could be fun. I mean, I think the women's fight is better than just about anything on that card. I think that's a really good women's fight. I know we got a lot of people that listen to the show and a lot of haters on the women's divisions, but I think this is one of the better fights. I mean, it's a good fight.
Yep.
It's an important one.
Yeah,
And we got
Andrade
Platinum
smashes.
Mike. We got the Horse Lord.
I think there's going to be a lot of fun fights. It's just not meaningful high-end fight. I think that's what the deal is.
All right.
Which is fair. Whatever.
I'm giving it like a 6.5.
There we go. We can handle the 6.5.
All right, fine. All right. With that, we'll be back next week, and I have a feeling we're gonna have a bet on that card.
Yep.
I think so. I have a good feeling we're gonna have a bet on that card. And with that, have a good one and enjoy the fights.